You know what it's like? It's like the burglar breaks in and you're like, don't hurt me, take whatever you want. And they go, take your Freida McFadden books. You're like, whoa. Cross the line, buddy. Yeah. Or my air fryer.
Yeah.
Some authors plagiarize other writers. Freida McFadden is the first author I've seen who plagiarizes herself. Once you learn to peep Freida's game, you'll be able to recognize the same things occurring sequentially. The cold open, the flashback, the arsehole next door neighbor, the unintelligent female lead, the twist, double twist and triple twist, and finally, the reveal. I'm expecting this book to have all 6 Infinity Stones. But however much I've slandered Freida's writing, however much I've called her uninspired, boring, two-dimensional, lazy, and a disgrace, we all know one unequivocally undeniable fact. When our next book comes out, I'm definitely buying that shit.
Of course.
It's already sold. Shut up and take my money.
So how many books of Freida have we read so far? How many is this?
This-
Pause this video right now. Go and read The Tenant by
Freida McFadden.
If you haven't
when
read
you
that.
read it. And when you've read it, you can join us for the discussion.
Or you can join us anyway, because we're going to tell you all about it. My name's Elijah.
And I'm Joseph, and welcome to the Icha Library. You know what it's like? It's like the burglar breaks in and you're like, don't hurt me, take whatever you want. And they go, take your Freida McFadden books. You're like, whoa. Cross the line, buddy.
Yeah.
Or my air fryer.
Yeah. So what did you think of the book?
Problems right off the bat for me.
Problems right off the bat?
Right off the bat for me. And the reason why I say problems right off the bat is because I don't think she puts enough care and attention. This is quite rude, but I don't think she puts enough care and attention into building her plot sometimes. Sometimes she,
I told
there'll
you,
be
they
very
just, have
obvious.
one, they just have one little idea and then they just try and expand that little
exactly.
idea and
There'll
see
be
where
like
it
some
takes
very obvious, like, close this up, tighten that up, straighten this up, and she'll just leave it. And then, but when we go into the characters now, there'll be copious details, stuff that doesn't need to be in there.
Well, like
just
Mr. Zimmerly.
all kinds of stuff, bro. All kinds of stuff.
So you had problems with it straight away.
What
do I think of the book? I hear you ask. I think it was one of her better books, but it was still rubbish.
Yeah, no, it wasn't good.
So I didn't like it, and I don't recommend you read it.
It's The Crash.
Yeah,
it's better than that. But
It's better than The Crash, but it's still. I had to roll my eyes at the end.
Yeah, tough read.
Rolled my
tough
eyes.
read. Not hard read, Barry.
No, they
easy
never
read,
are. They
but
never.
tough
Well, no,
read.
The Crash was a bit tricky.
I suppose.
I had to get
remember.
through it, but this I didn't have to get through. It was quite easy. But let's get into it. I've only got. Well, I've got 5 points actually.
I've got 5 as well.
The next book I've only got 3.
I think I've got 4, so
Okay.
perfect.
All right. Well, you've got 5. I've got 5, so I'll go first. Super hot tenant moves into the guest room. It's like a man's dream come true. I started imagining a scenario about that 1 month when she can't quite make the rent. And she comes to you all apologetic, asking for a little grace period to pull the money together. And of course, she insists that she will be compensating you immediately somehow. Would that not have been the spice that this book so desperately needed? Under those conditions, I think a man could be excused for succumbing to temptation, surely. Who's going to say no to helping out the needy? The tenant, Whitney, is clearly in need. By accepting those terms and conditions, you are effectively doing the Lord's work. Charity, no? Homing the homeless. And as we like to say, if your girl loves you, she'll forgive you, don't we? So, is there anything that I said there that you do not agree with? No? Good.
I was about to be like, not a single thing. Preach on.
Do you at least agree with the fact that had the book gone that way, it would have been much more interesting? I could have tell that Freida was struggling for content as the book heavily featured Mr. Zimmerly, who was a disgruntled, annoying elderly neighbour who would moan and bitch for any little reason. Do you think that Freida thinks we don't notice the shameful way that she uses Mr. Zimmerly as a filler, or does she not care?
I hope she just doesn't care. Because for me, that's actually a bit better. That means...
If she doesn't care, she knows how bad it is. Then.
Yeah, exactly.
And
So
she
at least
just
you're
like-
self-aware. But if you don't know, then you're not self-aware and you're bad at this. So
Yeah. But do you think she thinks we don't notice, though?
she must know by now. I'm sure we're not the first people to say this in reviews like under her work.
it's
Even
just-
if she didn't realise while writing it, which she really should. But
Yeah, because it's just to me, it's just embarrassing. It's almost like you have no better way to pack this story up into something that's interesting than to have some neighbor come out, some annoying neighbor moaning about mundane, stupid
Gotta have
things.
the goldfish funerals and stuff.
It's like, what are we doing
here,
here?
mate?
What are we doing here? Are you supposed to be entertaining us? Because if this is
bottom-
your version of
This is
entertainment,
bottom of the barrel stuff when it comes to like marking time until the plot can
why
take
don't you
back
just
over.
start on OnlyFans?
That's bad. It's been 2 chapters and things have already gone from 0 to 100 in record time. Blake Porter has just been promoted to vice president of his marketing company after his predecessor crumbled under the pressure. He has the corner office, the 7-figure salary, the expensive furniture, and the designer girlfriend. Everything a man could want. And it barely lasted 2 seconds. Without warning, his boss Vince calls him into his office before angrily accusing him of leaking confidential information to their competitors. Blake obviously denies the accusation, and Vince fires him on the spot. Despite he said, "Pack your shit, get out!" You know when they have that box with the shit in there, the framed photo, all of that.
Said, get out.
Get out! I don't darken this doorstep again. It's an interesting start for sure, I suppose, but Freida has to do better when it comes to her world and plot building. I'm pretty sure you can't just fire some guy for no reason at all, with no evidence.
Yeah.
In fact, I think Blake could even sue for wrongful termination in that instance, and the company would have to pay him so much money he would never need a job again. Book over.
Yeah.
So the whole book's plot is about Blake being broke, not being able to make ends meet, and that's how they get Whitney in as the tenant.
Yeah.
But the setup that Freida has chosen is one where Blake could not possibly end up broke from this position.
Yeah.
I'm sure he would even have a severance check of some sort. So there was like, within 3 weeks, it's like, we've got 1 mortgage payment left, with money left, and it's like, we're done.
Yeah. It was rash. It was harsh.
Yeah.
It was forced. It was rubbish. And that kind of sums up the whole book.
Sums up
Freida's
every
life. It is what it is, you know. I guess that she didn't want to waste time on that detail because that's not what we came for. But did you
no
see
problem bringing in
it?
the goldfish,
Because I didn't. You know, I forgot about that like quite quickly, and I didn't think they would tie that into the ending. And I didn't know who would be behind that anyway, so I was surprised in that.
I was hoping that it was going to come back in it, because I said, you can't just leave that there. Like, he just gets fired and that's how your story ends. Like, you don't chase it up. You don't, like, nothing. I was thinking, I'm not going to say it will, because every time I make a prediction to save the author, they just disappoint me, and I'm like, I tried to save you.
Yeah.
I was just hoping it's going to come back up. You can't leave that like that.
So after saying to Whitney, the tenant, that she is free to use all of his things, after finding that she has finished his body soap and cereal, he stomps down to her workplace to tell her that she's no longer welcome to use his things. "We are not friends," he says to her while she's at work.
Yeah.
Which was obviously a heavy-handed way for Blake to become the bad guy, which obviously justifies Whitney for fucking with him for the remainder of the book.
Yeah.
This was not the direction that I wanted the book to go in. Before all of that, Blake and Whitney seemed like they were getting close. Too close, in fact. For example, one night Blake couldn't sleep, and he decided to head to the kitchen to get a drink. He found Whitney watching the TV in the front room in her underwear. He was in his underwear too. He decided to join her, watching TV, where they essentially spent some quality time together, and it was all above board. Nothing naughty happened. In your opinion, did Blake or Whitney do anything wrong or cross the line by watching the TV together in their underwear? Is that a break-upable offence?
A break-upable offence is tough, but, you know, from a man's perspective, I think every man would probably say that's a bit harsh to say you should break up over that. You ask some women, they'll probably say something different.
Did he do something wrong?
Having said that, I think that you could say he did something wrong for sure, because it's like
Watching TV in his own house.
in his own house.
Room,
Yeah, I get
in
that.
his
But
own
it's
boxes.
like when you have a
He
tenant,
wasn't naked.
When you have no, I get that, but it's like there are different stages of undress. There are different forms of nakedness, and it kind of depends on what society views as naked.
So if Whitney was a man who's in her underwear, that would be okay.
And he was a man in his underwear, yeah.
Unless
it wouldn't be the same. Exactly. But it wouldn't be the same. I don't know if I would say it's okay, but it wouldn't be the same as what people are looking at. It would definitely be a different situation, which is, again, absolutely fine. Because, you know, if your girl says, I'm going to see my brother or something, you know, you're not going to think twice of it. Or if she says, I'm going to see a friend, you might say, what friend? If I've never heard of them. Exactly. And if you say, oh, my friend's a man, you might be like, what's going on?
Could never.
Lock her in.
So what? Just out of interest, what about if Christy caught Blake sniffing Whitney's underwear? Is that a break-upable offence?
Yeah, come on. Yeah, I would. I mean,
yeah, you should
try
break
to
up
be
with-
fair about. Try to be fair about it and looking at it from her angle. I would probably say yeah.
What if her big problem was, why don't you sniff my underwear?
She's asking the wrong questions, in my opinion. You're asking the wrong questions, bro. Like, I would have been like, I do.
Oh gosh.
But yeah, it's the wrong questions if that's what you're asking. But that's funny enough, that's exactly what I would expect a woman to ask, or if not ask, at least think in the back of their head.
What's wrong with my ones?
Yeah, legit. Freida is such a frustrating author sometimes. Her plots often seem slapdash at best, where she has just thrown a few characters in the room and said, go!
Yeah.
But then when it comes to her characters, she goes to so many lengths, adding in copious details upon details. Inside the first few chapters, we've already heard about Blake's gym habits, how much he loves his girlfriend Krista's cookies, and all about their 10-point hugging scale. But she couldn't be asked to come up with a believable reason that someone might get fired. Why did she make Blake's firing for something that he actually did? Like he tried to do something sneaky at work and got caught. She's the queen of interesting and seemingly random character development decisions. Like when Blake and Krista's Tenant show up, it turns out her name is Quilizabeth. Did you do that to try and make us laugh? Because I had the straightest face you've ever seen when I saw that.
There was a lot of weird shit.
Just for no reason.
Weird things going on.
I was just like, if you had just taken some of that time and effort and just made a good plot instead of like making random wacky characters.
Making random details is easy.
Yeah, you literally
you just put some random shit in.
It's literary diarrhea.
Yeah. No.
Burst fire.
Yeah, I was with you until he said that bit. Man said, it's like diarrhea. What? What are we talking about? Again. The book reads, you constantly are accusing our tenant. Our tenant? That's my tenant, bitch. You know what I mean? Get out. Both of you. Book over. This book could have been wrapped up immediately. Kick her out, sell the ring, back yourself a job to cover the rent, or sell the house. Simple.
Job done, mate.
Unfortunately, the bulk of the story was seemingly weird things happening. So, for example, a fly infestation in the house, the garbage bins being put back onto the road after Blake had taken them in, their pet fish mysteriously being killed. I want to be honest with you, Freida. This isn't interesting. It's something we've seen a million times before in the mystery and thriller genre, where the main character usually notices weird things by himself and nobody believes him. I would have liked to see something different. I would have liked for Krista to be in on the mysterious happenings. This would have allowed for actually weird things to happen, such as rooms painted a different colour, maybe their pet fish would become a pet dog, and the evidence of, are you feeling okay, honey? We've always had a dog, could be backed up by AI-generated deepfake images, or family photos from years ago that featured the dog, for example. So when you bring the other main character into the weird happenings, we can then have even more strange things where Krista could be saying back to Blake, I'm not gonna lie, I thought we had a fish too. So it's like when we read the book, We Used to Live Here, and we had both the characters in on the weird things happening. Yeah. So, you know, it kind of gives a different dimension to the story. And whenever the author sees fit, we can make Krista pretend to not remember the conversation to shit Blake up even more, as if he had imagined Krista being in on it with him.
Yeah. Just a mindfuck, basically.
Yeah, that could have added a layer of complexity instead of just the usual bog standard, I think I'm going crazy trope. Surely Freida McFadden knows that she's essentially written a story that's probably been written 100 times before, or do you think she's just unaware?
Look, she clearly is aware of what she's doing. She's got, you know, her formula, her bag, and she's making money off it, so fair play to her. But it's only so many times. It's like you said, it's only so many times you can really do this before. Even die-hard Freida McFadden fans have even now been like, Freida, you're now taking a piss.
Yeah, I've read the comments of it, and people said, because Freida's not going to stop, I'm just going to stop reading her books.
Yeah, it's going to get to that point. I mean, we're not going to stop.
Yeah.
But I would understand why people would actually stop, because they're like, I've actually read it before. Every time you release a new book, I know I've read it. Yeah, so it's like, why do I have to keep sort of thing? But yeah, no, not impressed. Freida's making it a bit too obvious that Krista knows something. Either she knows something or she's in on something. My suspicions have been raised. Ever since Whitney has moved in, strange things have been happening. Strange sounds, strange smells coming from her room, and Krista is constantly defending her. Firstly, which landlord is going to defend a suspicious tenant? I get they need the money, but you could literally have the next Jeffrey Dahmer living in your house, and you don't need that kind of publicity. And secondly, what wife is going to defend this single hot girl moving into your house? Like, there's no chance. She's going to want her out at the first opportunity. She's going to want her out. So that kind of made it far too obvious.
So the dynamic should have changed. It should have been her wanting the tenant out, and he.
That would have been far more believable. Because if it's like the man wants the single hot girl to stay in his house, okay, well, we know why, don't we? But like, it just made it too obvious that she was in on something.
Well, I didn't see that coming at all, embarrassingly. So Krista is behind it all. Embarrassingly, I didn't see that coming, even though I should have, because in Freida McFadden's stories, it's always the woman.
Yeah, legit.
I didn't see that coming. Okay, I'll take it. Blake had a one-night stand with Stacey, who was basically the secretary at work. Blake's girlfriend found out and subsequently decided to wreck his life. Oh, and also decides to kill Stacey too. It's a bit over the top. Okay, I understand that cheating's wrong, but what is with the influx of books that sanction the killing of men by their partners because they make a small mistake?
Yeah.
Do you think that these books could be massaging the idea into naive minds that it's okay to plot against a cheating partner? Especially when Krista is saying things like, I knew I could never be happy if Jordan was alive, so I fixed it.
Yeah, see.
And things like, I bet he'd be sorry if I went downstairs and boiled the kettle and threw it on his face.
Yeah, bro, that's not, you don't want to, that's not someone you want where you lay your head. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to lay my head around you. That's one eye open when I'm sleeping.
Or maybe you just don't want to cheat on those people.
Oh, it's not just about the cheating, because it's like, they can just, if they feel justified doing that, they can feel justified about that for any reason. You've upset them. Somehow,
well,
you
don't
know,
upset them.
Anything they see as a betrayal of their trust.
Don't betray them.
That's not anything they see.
Otherwise, they'll kill you.
Yeah, exactly. This is crazy, man. But it is a very interesting point. You see, yeah, because that's beyond. It's interesting what you say, because I actually had this written in my notes for the other one, but it's weird how they play to all these revenge fantasies that I believe women have, all these little fantasies about justice.
They definitely want to stab.
Do you see what I'm saying? Because it's like, oh, cheating's so bad and he deserves all this because it's cheating, but it's like, she's a murderer. It's kind of worse. But that's justified. Like, I see where she's coming from with the murder, but you don't see where he was coming from with the cheating.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, maybe he cheated because she's crazy. Maybe that's why he wanted a new girl.
Yeah.
Why are we sitting through a goldfish funeral? Seriously, Freida, you have outdone yourself this time. I can forgive Tegan calling her unborn baby tuna and talking to it periodically during the crash. I can forgive Sydney being harassed by a failed date for the entire runtime of The Boyfriend, only for it to turn out to be nothing, absolutely nothing related to the plot. I can overlook a lot of things, but this one takes the absolute piss. It's like she tried to make it a key element of the plot as well, which is insane that a goldfish is what makes Blake take action. Not the rotting food that Whitney's left lying about, not the strange smells coming from her room, not the police investigation about her old friend who overdosed and died, not the lipstick appearing on his shirts, driving his wife out of the house, but a goldfish. Yeah. So it just didn't need to be in there. This obsession, this fixation he has with pets, with people having pets, it's like, no, I don't know.
It just shows that Freida has no capabilities of creating something out of nothing, because, you know, with these authors, it shows what they do things, and it shows how resourceful they are when they bring things into the story, and it takes the story different ways. She's got no idea. She's just got a 2D idea.
Goldfish dies, and then
come on,
like, love you, Freida. I'm still gonna buy the next book though.
I honestly think Freida stuffed this book up. Was it okay? Yeah, sure, but the main problem is the introduction of the fact that Blake cheated with Stacey. I thought I understood why there was no action between Blake and Whitney. It's because Blake's not a cheater, or so I thought. But if Blake really is a cheat, then why not have him and Whitney get together? The first half of the book would have been much more interested with a touch of infidelity. We might even have started rooting for Whitney and Blake. This would mean that we can actually fill the book with an actual story instead of pointless Mr. Zimmerly filler. Also, we could have got rid of Stacey altogether, and cutting characters is always good for clarity. So why, as an author, would you decide against that option? It was there. They already they wanted to sew through in their underwear. Why couldn't they have had that? They could have gone together, done a little thing, and then some what they call it, trouble in paradise, and then
she even already did this in The Housemaid with Andrew and Millie.
Yeah, exactly.
She literally did the exact same thing already.
Maybe that's why.
Oh, what? You think she's bored of doing the same thing over and over again?
Then, of course, Freida decides to start undoing the whole book. We had Christy hiring actors who pretended to be her parents. We had Christy hiring actors to pretend to be potential tenants. We had Christy coincidentally bump into somebody who happened to be stealing her identity, and she believed that warranted death. Wait, did Freida McFadden kill off poor Mr. Zimmerly randomly, basically just for content?
Yeah, no, real.
And then to top it off, with the coincidence of the century, Whitney was being paid to kill Krista. Do Do you
Yeah,
think
no,
it was
that was-
Freida's aim to undo the book in one chapter, or did she think she was cooking?
She definitely thought she was cooking. She definitely thought she was cooking as well. And I can imagine her when she's doing these twists as well. She's like, oh, this is gonna get him. And I'm just like, bruh, you know that last one. You know when they say the last one is always one too many. Like you're out riding your bike or whatever, you think, yeah, one more go around.
Yeah, that's
That's
you
actually
fuck
when
up.
you're gonna fuck yourself up.
You get robbed.
That last one,
drop off
whatever
the bike.
happens,
something's
drop off
gonna
the bike.
happen, yeah.
Whatever happens, you don't think I'll just have this last pint.
Yeah, that's the one.
Actually the one that
that's
fucks
gonna
you up.
hospitalize you.
That's
the
the one that
only
fucks you up.
saving grace for this book, and the reason why I'm rating it 5 stars, was because the character Elijah got the pussy. Yeah, he did die, but if you're gonna die, is not the way you want to
Die
go
in
out.
the box, physically in there already.
But yeah, when I saw that, I said, Elijah, yeah, you done us proud, bro.
You said, of course. Meanwhile, what are the Joseph that we read about doing? Committing acts of terrorism.
Exactly, foolishness.
You know what this book reminds me of? You Killed Me First by John Mars. That's the level of confusion we're talking about regarding the ending. It's Freida's fatal flaw. She always goes one twist too far and ruins it for everybody. In the end, we find out that Krista was behind everything, from Blake getting fired to trying to pin Becky's murder on him. And Whitney is Krista's sister, helping her with the long con. But then we find out that Whitney was actually conning the con artist, and Krista is the one that ends up going to prison, and Blake is just free and confused.
Yeah.
He's not the only one.
Wait,
So
no,
it
didn't
was-
Krista die?
I thought she went to prison. Did she die?
I think she died because she stabbed Whitney, then Whitney got back up and stabbed Krista, and then yeah, Krista died in the end.
Oh, she died. I thought there was
Yeah,
like she
yeah.
stabbed her, but then okay, she died. Fair
Yeah,
enough.
so
But,
Krista actually died. But yeah, no, I don't, it's like, what are we doing here?
one twist too many. It's one twist
I
too
don't-
many. And it's like when you do that one twist too many, it becomes painfully obvious to see where the quality in your stories is coming from. It's coming from the shock factor.
Yeah,
And you're like,
literally.
oh, this one blew so big. Let's do 3 twists in the next one. And it's not like writing for me, anyways, and reading should be a qualitative, not quantitative basis. So it's not necessarily about how much you can get in there, but what your words that you did use are worth.
It's literally boring. Shock.
Legit, 100%.
The end.
Yeah, 100%.
Job done.
Yeah. She literally said, time to rake in the millions.
100%. Oh gosh. So out of 5,
Out of 5,
what would you give this book?
a 1. Realistically, I think that's probably generous.
Generous.
I think it's generous, to be honest. The only reason I rated 1 is I rated the Crash as 0. This is better than the Crash, so it must be a 1.
To be fair,
Has to be.
you're probably right.
Yeah,
You are probably right. Was there anything good?
There was a couple of moments where I was like, huh, look at that. Or a couple of things where I laughed at it. I can't remember off the top of my head. I
couldn't
was
tell
supposed to
you if
write
there
one
was
of them
something
down.
good about this
I was
book.
supposed to write one of them down, but I can't remember. It was easy to read. That's one good thing.
1.
Wasn't difficult.
1 is generous, to be fair.
Yeah,
it
no,
was.
it is.
Yeah. Well, you have it there. I hope you guys didn't waste your time, and if you did,
We did it for you.
we did as
wasted our
well.
time for you.
Yeah, well,
Should we do quote of the day?
yes. Let's do quote of the day.
All right, go first.
Quote of the day: you cannot swim for new horizons until you have the courage to lose sight of the shore.
That's pretty good.
It's all
It's
right.
true as well.
Yeah, it's all right.
true as well.
It's all right.
Quote of the day. Don't worry about getting older. You're still going to do the same dumb stuff, just slower. I feel like that's more funny than motivational, to be honest. And normally I kind of go for something that's going to like leave the viewer, on, on a positive note, you know, feeling like they can go out into the world.
Doesn't matter. No one's watching.
To be fair, your ones definitely don't leave the viewer on a positive note. They actually want to take suicide after the bluer side.
I've been doing better.
Yeah,
well,
no,
different.
You
I
could
don't
be
know
doing
if
worse.
it's- I know. Well, yeah. All right. Well, look. Till next time, I guess.
Till next time.